He says it won't be selling WITV after all. Michelle Parker reports on that. And Sarah Jarvis with the latest on the governor's threat to veto the sales tax increase. Now this.
When you think about who'll you be driving around over the next few days, you want the experts who can fix your brakes today. Midas, because your brakes can't wait.
Scattered showers and thunderstorms tonight and early tomorrow, then becoming sunny and warm with a high of 80 degrees. It'll be a bit cooler on Wednesday with high in the 70s. We'll be back at 6. Now to CBS.
A cliffhanger in space. A shuttle astronaut tries to save an astronomically expensive satellite. A former chief of the CIA and the FBI heads for Los Angeles to investigate the police department and the riots. And the money crunch. Tonight we begin a special series on love, marriage, and money. What you don't know could hurt you. This is the CBS Evening News. Good evening, Dan Rather reporting. Another walk on the wild side this evening up in space. Endeavour astronauts were sent back out to try again a dangerous rescue of a communications satellite stuck in useless orbit. Correspondent Doug Donnell has the latest on a spacewalk that's no cakewalk.
I'm going to start.
Astronaut Pierre Thuot is out in space now on a tricky, high-risk mission to approach an object the size and weight of a fully loaded pickup truck that is spinning and attach a stabilizing bar to its bumper. There is no understating the difficulty or the danger. Yesterday, Thuot tried and failed 4 times. When he lightly touched the satellite, the 9,000-pound device bobbed and weaved out of reach and control. Fearing it could crash into their ship, the Endeavour's crew pulled back to a safer distance, and NASA revised its plan for today's attempt.
They're going to wait 25 minutes till we get into daylight. I think that's a very prudent move. I think they're going to take the time to make sure Pierre is positioned properly.
Booster ignition and liftoff of the...
Critics charge that NASA spends as much as $1 billion a mission on shuttle flights at a time when government funds are sorely needed elsewhere. But some analysts argue that this is just the kind of highly specialized space skill America needs to perfect if NASA is to maintain its competitive edge in space.
The former Soviet Union, Europe, Japan are all developing 90s space transportation systems, advanced technology, cheaper technology, more reliable technology.
The Endeavour crew's plan is to bring both astronaut Thuot and the $157 million satellite into the Endeavour's cargo bay, attach a rocket to the satellite, and then relaunch it so it can be put to use by the world's telephone companies. Doug Donnell, CBS News, Miami.
On a problem closer to home, the Los Angeles Police Commission named a review panel today. It will look at how the police responded to the racial unrest that followed the Rodney King verdict. Heading the panel, William Webster, former federal judge, former FBI and CIA chief. Ron Allen reports what he'll be up against.
William Webster walks into a firestorm of finger-pointing, criticism from cops and residents across L.A., all asking, where were the police as the city erupted in violence?
We will find, as always occurs in these situations, that there were mistakes and there were acts of heroism.
That probe may help determine why the riot got out of hand. But there's some new census data released today that may help explain why this community was such fertile ground for an uprising.
We don't have anything, we don't have any jobs, we don't have any hopes.
The census data confirm that. The poverty rate for families in South Central Los Angeles rose to 30.3% during the 1980s. That's twice the rate citywide and almost 3 times the national average. And more people live in poverty now than when the Watts riots erupted 27 years ago.
I've been struggling the last years just trying to stay here.
Willie Duncan has seen it all. First the Watts riots, now this. His black-owned sign helped spare his coffee shop both times. But he says the problems are still the same.
I was just getting ready to close here because it was nothing here.
What we've not had over the years has been a long-term commitment. We don't need to have a few folk coming in for a month or two, very concerned, and then walk away.
And the faces of riot victims on lines for food and clothing tell why the problem may be even more difficult to solve this time around. South Central has become heavily Latino, blacks now another minority. So new programs have new cultural barriers to cross, along with the old ones. Ron Allen, CBS News, Los Angeles.
President Bush and congressional leaders will hold their first talks of the year tomorrow. They will talk about urban problems. Today, both sides tried some advanced positioning. As part of his re-election campaign, the president talked up programs to reduce infant mortality and fight childhood diseases. The Democratic leadership, as part of their campaign, promised that the meeting with Mr. Bush tomorrow will not be election year politics as usual.
Distribute to you. We will be forthcoming, but we need the president's help. He has a pen in his pocket that's worth 2/3 of us. And we need his help in coming together on a way that we can cut through these disagreements, that we can solve these problems and move this country in a positive direction. We are ready, willing, and able to do that.
While Democrats and President Bush were getting ready to talk to each other in Washington, Ross Perot was acting in Texas. As James Hattori reports, Perot took another big step toward actually running for president as an independent.
The Ross Perot Mad as Hell insurgency campaign marched on the Texas Capitol today. More than 1,000 supporters bearing box after box of petitions, an orchestrated offering of support, ensuring the maverick billionaire a spot on the Texas ballot.
There it is, folks. It's legal.
Perot, in keeping with his anti-candidate image, cheered on his followers, but said little about the issues.
If the framers of our Constitution are looking down from heaven today at you, you know and I know they're smiling.
Perot's Texas candidacy threatens a political free-for-all in George Bush's adopted home state come November. But it isn't just Texas, and it isn't just Republicans who are worried. According to the latest CBS News New York Times national poll, Perot would attract more Clinton voters. 26% of those favoring the Arkansas governor would switch to Perot.
Governor Clinton has not caught on to the extent that I think the Democrats hoped he would. And as a result, there's something of a vacuum out there, and Perot has moved rather rapidly to fill it.
But Republicans are worried as well. Our poll said 19% of Bush supporters would also switch to Perot, perhaps enough to put several big states into Clinton's column.
He could take away California, Texas, Florida from George Bush, Arizona. So in this sense, he's going to the conservative Republican heartland and leeching at that.
Perot's supporters cross parties and ideologies, and while Republicans and Democrats battle it out for the middle class, Perot seems to be taking root in America's suburbs and on America's TV screens.
Now, in last count, there were $712 million in damage done during the LA riots. Well, see this right here? Now, all right. See, this here's a check for exactly $712 million.
Audiences may be laughing, but Republicans and Democrats aren't. James Hattori, CBS News, Austin.
And still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, new evidence tonight of shoddy care at the nation's veterans' hospitals. And Eye on America, teens in trouble and a rescue at sea.
What traits do you look for in a financial firm? A herd mentality? Unsteadiness? Complacency? Or do you look for strength? Stability? Knowledge of the world? What traits do you look for?
Tonight, America speaks out for what it wants. Hello, Domino's.
America wants our America's favorite pizza feast. Pepperoni, sausage, mushroom. A medium's just $8.99.
This just in. Nobody knows like Domino's.
How you like pizza at home?
It's a comfort to know more people have taken Sominex over the past 30 years than any other sleep aid. Safe, simple Sominex.
Early returns from the presidential election in the Philippines show a close three-way race to succeed Corazon Aquino. Former Judge Miriam Santiago ran on an independent anti-corruption platform, and she's slightly ahead of candidates linked to Aquino and to former dictator Ferdinand Marcos. Way back out of the running is Marcos's widow Imelda. 15 deaths were reported in Election Day violence, 77 since the Philippine campaign began. You may remember our story last month about the Veterans Hospital in Virginia, where police found the bodies of 2 patients who had apparently walked out the door unnoticed. Now Jim Stewart reports there's been another shocking discovery at the same hospital.
Hospital workers found the remains of yet another veteran on the grounds of the VA hospital in Salem, Virginia this weekend. The 3rd body discovered there in 3 months. Only this one had lain undiscovered for 15 years.
The individual has been identified as a patient who left the nursing home care unit in 1977.
A search was made of the complex when the 84-year-old World War II veteran was first reported missing. Days later, the search was called off. A hospital staff member said procedures have tightened up since then.
We provide health care to some 50,000 people a year, and this happened 15 years ago. I think we're doing a pretty good job.
It was in another wooded area of the hospital grounds in March that police discovered the remains of the first 2 veterans, one hanging from a tree. At first, the VA said the men were vagrants, then admitted they were missing patients. Today, the VA said the latest body was found as part of a cleanup ordered by the new hospital administrator.
Every effort is being made to assure families of all veterans at the Salem Hospital that every possible human measure will be taken to assure the safety, welfare, and quality of care to the patients at that medical center.
But organizations representing the nation's 27 million veterans say this latest horror story is the sort of thing the system can expect more of, as fewer and fewer hospital staff members are expected to care for more and more patients.
Veterans are looking at Salem now and other VA facilities across the country and saying, is it safe for me to go into that hospital?
The VA is withholding the name of the latest patient found until the government can locate his family and tell them that the man they thought missing all these years has now been found. Jim Stewart, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Coming up next, our special Money Crunch report. Should plans for a wedding include a trip to the lawyer?
Flakes? Just flakes? Hey, I hope you don't mind me saying so, but this stuff looks limpy, you know what I mean? I mean, look at it. Who's going to eat this stuff? Nobody I know, I can tell you that right now. Good. Fine. I made a mistake, okay? But it's good. Simple, down to earth. I mean, that's a muscle, you know what I mean?
Kellogg's Cornflakes.
Cornflakes?
Taste them again for the first time.
Because sometimes the day ends and the pain doesn't, we've created Tylenol PM. With extra strength Tylenol pain reliever, plus a gentle ingredient to help you sleep. Tylenol PM, so you can rest easy.
Gas pressure means pain and bloating. And the way doctors see it, your best choice for relief is Mylanta gas. It has the best medicine for gas.
Can you solve these baffling crimes? All you have to do is find the hard evidence.
Did you kill her?
A special 48 Hours Wednesday.
We're heading into the peak season for weddings, May, June, July, and August. All this week, money correspondent Ray Brady will be reporting on the financial side of marriage. What couples realistically need to know about money before they tie the knot. Tonight, Ray looks at the prenuptial agreement in The Money Crunch, for richer, for poorer.
Thank you.
Would you please place a ring on Beth's left ring finger as a token of the promise you've just made to her?
But when they're making those marriage vows, should the happy couple also be making a financial vow, a prenuptial agreement, deciding who gets what if they split up?
There's really true love, and I don't foresee anything like that, and is there any problems?
Most Americans feel that way about prenups, as lawyers call them, but are they wrong?
Who needs prenuptials? Everybody needs prenuptials.
Top divorce lawyer Raoul Felder argues a prenup can avert a costly breakup down the road.
If you don't see a lawyer, then see a psychiatrist, because today you're absolutely certifiable crazy if you don't see a lawyer before you get married.
In the divorce of the battling Trumps, Ivana tried to break the prenup. She wanted more. But after a bruising legal battle, the prenup held up. What she had signed for is exactly what she got. Mike Tyson had no prenup. In that divorce, wife Robin Givens landed a knockout punch to his wallet. Is a prenup for you? Everybody's different, but advocates cite at least 2 instances where almost anyone might want a prenuptial agreement. One is to protect the rights of children from a previous marriage. The second is to ensure financial security for a less wealthy spouse in case there's a divorce.
If there's going to be trouble over money, let it come before I'm married rather than afterwards.
But what about romance? Coming just before a marriage, some say, a prenup could lead to a breakup.
In effect, what's the spouse who asks the other spouse to sign a prenuptial agreement is saying is, I don't trust you, or I have reason to think that I'm not going to trust you, and I want you to sign a legal document to protect me against you.
Getting married? Now that you know both sides, you and your prospective spouse might want to sit down and talk about a prenup. Talk about assets and dependents you might want to protect. Still, a prenup's not for everyone.
We love each other and we shall trust each other. And that's it.
And that may be the trouble with prenups. As reasonable as they might seem, people in love just don't like them.
I can't pronounce you both husband and wife.
Ray Brady, CBS News, The Money Crunch.
Tomorrow, Ray looks at one of the biggest problems in marriage, handling the money. Coming up here next, one country where labor unions are thriving, not threatened.
How bad are your allergies?
Terrible.
Terrible allergy attack?
I feel like I just want to unscrew my head, take it off.
Suppose I took your Benadryl away.
I'd be home in bed.
Would you try this new allergy medicine?
Does it work the same?
Dristan Allergy has a decongestant, and this Benadryl doesn't. So it relieves nasal congestion and pressure Benadryl can't. Let's try it.
Okay. I feel fantastic.
Why?
I can breathe through my nose. I don't need a tissue anymore.
New Dristan Allergy. Dristan, the face of relief today.
Recently, DuPont announced that its energy unit Conoco would pioneer the use of new double-hulled oil tankers in order to safeguard the environment. The response has been overwhelmingly positive. DuPont, better things for better living.
Afraid swimsuit season will reflect badly on you? Then make the under 200-calorie Kellogg Special K breakfast part of your diet plan. And get the shape that reflects the way you want to be. Kellogg's Special K. Lose that winter fat.
Everybody needs some money sometime.
Only Western Union can get money to over 16,000 locations in minutes. Nobody else even comes close. Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
A cuddle can avoid a struggle. It's part of how you can enjoy a healthier sex life and keep it together in the 90s.
Dr. Joyce Brothers, tomorrow on CBS This Morning.
Members of the European community called their ambassadors home from Yugoslavia today, demanding that the Yugoslav Central Army get out of Bosnia. Fighting intensified in that small former Yugoslav republic, with Muslims on one side and Serbs backed by Yugoslav army troops on the other. European nations and the United States have recognized Bosnia as an independent state, but Serbian forces are now occupying most of its territory. In the former Soviet Republic of Tajikistan, Muslims and former communists agreed today to form a coalition government. The accord comes after a week of violent protests. Yesterday, security troops fired on demonstrators in the street, killing at least 6. Tajikistan was the last of the former Soviet republics still controlled by Communist Party holdovers. Public service workers in Germany began voting today on a new contract following a successful 11-day strike. Now, metal workers are threatening an even bigger strike against private industry. The strength of the German labor movement is a sharp contrast to the trend in this country, where recent strikes against such companies as Caterpillar, Greyhound, and several airlines have left unions humiliated and workers unemployed. Correspondent Bill McLaughlin reports from Germany.
Work ethic is more than just a potent symbol. It's created one of the most successful industrial societies in history. It's made German unions a force to be reckoned with at a time when many American unions are fighting just to survive.
They have forfeited their jobs and will be terminated.
Over the last decade, union bashing by government and industry has whittled down a once powerful force, turning labor relations into a bitter fight of us against them. But in Germany, unions are strong enough to take on both government and business and win.
They very perfectly plan and organize a strike. And therefore, Germans are not only efficient in productive work, they're efficient in organizing a strike as well.
There are other reasons for the union's strength, deeply rooted in German history.
For many Germans, the unions have a heroic past, a moral authority that's unique in the West. It stems from those dark days just before World War II, when the unions waged a gallant and lonely struggle trying to stop Adolf Hitler.
Crushed by Hitler, the unions re-emerged to join the rebuilding of Germany as a full partner with business and government.
The German government and German business are aware that they want trade unions, they need them, and that's why there are fights, there are shrewd conflicts, but they want them in, they do not want to break the backbones.
But in the U.S., both labor and management have gone in for bone crushing, even when both sides realized that failure to compromise meant defeat for all. German union leaders say they know how far and how much to push.
We do know that if we want to have milk from a cow, we cannot kill the cow.
While Germany may be in for another bout of strikes this month, neither workers nor bosses want a painful fight. Both concluded long ago that what's good for each other is good for the country. Bill McLaughlin, CBS News, Frankfurt.
What's poppin' up, that's free. Special K waffles from Eggo. Once you see how good fat-free can be, whoa, no, you never let go.
No way. It's all mine.
Special K waffles from Eggo.
Eggo Special K waffles. Crisp, delicious, yet every bite fat-free, cholesterol-free, and just 80 calories per waffle. See how good fat-free can be.
Oh, no, you never let go. Nah. Special K waffles from Eggo.
Dear Folgers, I tried the Folgers switch on 3 of my fellow sisters. Instead of our usual ground coffee, I made Folgers crystals. They all complimented me on the taste and aroma. "You do make wonderful coffee," was repeated more than once. They never realized it was Folgers crystals.
Folgers crystals, proven to surprise fresh brewed coffee drinkers.
Tastily yours, Sister Mary Norbert Bauer.
Hey, is Tegrin shampoo on sale?
Nope, that's their new lower price.
But it's still just as tough on dandruff, right?
Sure, Tegrin doesn't do less, just costs less.
Sounds right to me.
Tegrin, the right dandruff shampoo at the right price.
Every 20 seconds, a car is stolen. So Liberty Mutual is giving some police a powerful homing device that finds the car, which lowers insurance. And this device also finds the thief, who finds himself behind bars.
After examining, testing, it's a fact. You can buy new Preparation H hydrocortisone cream with the maximum strength available without a prescription to relieve problem itch. New Preparation H hydrocortisone cream. Prescription strength without a prescription.
The racial strife in Los Angeles has focused new attention on the young people of America's inner cities. Many of them are drowning in a sea of hopelessness. In tonight's Eye on America, Mark Phillips shows you a unique program that's throwing some of these kids a lifeline.
It would be hard to imagine two groups of people with less in common
yet whose fates were more closely intertwined than the two groups which headed off to work early one recent morning.
This last one we're gonna make?
The endangered species of the Chesapeake Bay waterman.
It ain't no joke. There's no competition when it's rope. Then why would you be woke when it's the hope for you to cope with more dope? The morphine, you're feeling your withdrawal. You wake up on your dream, bust a slaughtered what you saw, and you sweat.
And the so-called at-risk youth of the inner city. Two cultures as distinct and separate as it's possible to be. One from the mean streets of Baltimore, one from the rural backwaters of Maryland's eastern shore. Yet these two different worlds have been brought together by the sinking of the Caleb Jones and the effort to bring her back to life.
Got some water up in the bow over and they couldn't get it out, but the boat went down.
Dickie Webster's old skipjack went down not because of a storm or an accident, but because of economics. Where once hundreds of skipjacks harvested oysters on the bay, now barely 20 survive. The last commercial sailing fleet in the country. With few oysters around, nobody can afford to maintain their boats anymore.
You're talking in the neighborhood of the boat and captain making between $15,000 and $20,000 a season. And you're talking about $8,000 a year just to maintain the boat, and you got to make a living too.
So one by one, the captains give up and let their boats die, which is where the kids come in. The Caleb Jones was refloated and put ashore in a Baltimore boatyard.
There she goes.
Where the kids went to work. This is not just a good deed. These kids are not Boy Scouts.
Selling drugs, assault and battery and all that. Breaking in a car theft, this assault.
This time, instead of just serving sentences for their crimes, the kids have been put to work, learning skills they never knew, working on boats they'd barely heard of.
I've seen skipjacks before, and, I've heard of them, but, I really never knew what they really was for,
They call this program SOS, Save Our Skipjacks, but there's more at stake here than just trying to save some old boats. They're trying to save a way of life here, and at the same time, create a way of life that's worth living for some kids in the big city far away.
And it was a struggle to begin with. A lot of them were reluctant to pick up a tool. A lot of them were reluctant to... We heard "I can't" about 100 times a day.
That's it, Charles.
It took a while to turn "I can't" into "I can."
It's hard. It's hard. That's what it told me. I could do it, though. I could do it, though. I could do it.
We have kids that have always been told they can't, and now that they think they can, a lot of levels of their lives are ascending, not just their carpentry skills.
Doing a good job.
It's been almost as much of an education for the skipjack captains.
These guys will be ready to build a skipjack when they get finished with this one.
There may not be much of a market for wooden boat carpenters, but these kids are learning more than that. In the shipyard and on excursion boats,
I think you can do it.
They're being exposed to other worlds, learning other values, seeing where their newfound skills and confidence can lead.
It's there for us, we got actually a choice, of what we can do. We can take the wrong road or we can take the right road.
It's an unlikely route these two very different groups of people are taking together, locked in a mutual, interdependent battle for survival. On the Chesapeake Bay, I'm Mark Phillips for Eye on America.
Somebody trying for solutions, part of our world tonight. Dan Rather for the CBS Evening News. See you tomorrow. Good night.
CBS News.
Next on the TV8 News, live at 6, Alexander Morgan, once accused of murdering his parents here, killed in a car accident. Todd Magel with reaction.
Also tonight, Iowa State University changes course, says it wants to keep WOI-TV. Michelle Parker will have that story. And the governor is all but telling lawmakers to get ready for a special legislative session. Sarah Jarvis with details.
Connie's forecast and Heidi with a live report on track from Ames. TV8 News is next.
At Big Sur Waterbeds, our showrooms are bulging at the seams, overstocked with waterbeds and bedroom furniture. Something's got to give. So Big Sur has slashed prices on selected floor model, one-of-a-kind, discontinued, and scratch-and-dent merchandise. We've moved closeout items straight from our warehouses to be marked down and sold fast. We've got to sell it now before we explode. Hurry, shop early for best values at Big Sur Waterbeds, 3715 Merrill Hay Road at Douglas in Des Moines.
It's been a coast-to-coast saving success, but these are its final days. It's the National Jeep Sale at your Jeep and Eagle dealer. Your last chance to save over $2,900 on Jeep Cherokee. Plus, save up to $900 on the freedom-loving Jeep Wrangler. There are only a few more days to save, so see your dealer soon. Because while our vehicles know no limits, our sales do.
See your local Jeep and Eagle dealer, where you can expect the best.
Hey, when you're in the mood for something a little bit tangy, a little bit spicy, yeah, try Heinz 57 sauce. It's like ketchup with a kick.
Thank you for watching KCCI, TV8 in Des Moines. And now from TV8, Iowa's news leader, Paul Rhodes, Kevin Koenig, Connie McBurney with weather, and Heidi Soliday sports. This is TV8 News, live at 6.
You know, the young man has died, and everything else really doesn't matter at this point.
You know, I'm still thinking about the death of my father. As far as this person's death, I don't have any feelings about it at all. I'm just, like a weight's been lifted off our shoulders, and now we can maybe get back to our normal lives.
He was accused of murdering his parents. A jury set him free. Tonight, word that Alexander Morgan is dead. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Alexander Morgan died over the weekend in a car accident.
Morgan, formerly known as Charlie Little, slammed his car into a wall early Saturday morning near Dandridge, Tennessee, in the eastern part of the state. TV8's Todd Magel now with reaction to Morgan's death.
Well, Paul, reaction to his death is mixed tonight. One man who knew him is saddened by the news, but another says Alexander Morgan got what he deserved. No matter what anyone thinks, Morgan's death ends one of Des Moines' most spectacular murder cases.
We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty.
In many ways, Alexander Morgan, also known as Charlie Little, was a lucky man. After a 5-year legal battle played out on national TV, a jury found him not guilty for the murders of his adopted parents, Charles and Arlene Little. They died in 1986 of shotgun wounds while living in their Des Moines home.
The verdict didn't tell me anything new.
But early Saturday morning, Alexander Morgan's luck ran out. He died in a one-car collision on a highway in Dandridge, Tennessee. Morgan's public defender and friend, John Wellman, heard the news this afternoon.
Well, obviously, it's sad when someone that age loses their life. He had the desire and I think the potential to try to make something of his life, and I'm certainly surprised that his life would end in that fashion.
Wellman says Morgan left Iowa after the trial and was living and working in Hamilton, Ohio. Before his death, he was on his way to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina to visit friends. State police say Morgan was traveling at a high rate of speed and crashed into a retaining wall. He died instantly. But Tim Little, the natural son of Morgan's murdered parents, is not shedding any tears.
This is justice, finally. Something happened that the judicial system couldn't do. I'm pleased about it. It doesn't bring my father back, but I'm happy he's gone, that we're not looking over our shoulders wondering where he's at all the time.
Tennessee State Police say Morgan's body was cremated because he had no relatives. The question of suicide has surfaced in connection with the car crash, but Public Defender Wellman says no way. Wellman confirms Morgan liked to drive fast, and he's got an Iowa driving record to prove it. Paul?
Thank you, Todd. And we'll talk to neighbors of the Little family in Des Moines and have their reaction on the news at 10 tonight.
An arrest made today in the murder of a Fort Dodge man last night. 18-year-old Antonio Clark was shot about 10 o'clock last night in the 1100 block of 14th Street Southwest in Fort Dodge. Doctors soon declared Clark to be clinically dead. He died this afternoon at a Des Moines hospital. Police today arrested 29-year-old Jimmy Poe Jr. of Fort Dodge. Poe arrested in the Quad Cities. So far, Poe is charged with attempted murder. It's expected the charge will be upgraded. Fort Dodge police have not given a motive in the fatal shooting.
Funeral services set for tomorrow for the victims of last week's fatal fire in Des Moines. Norma Jean Dolan and her 2 grandchildren, Zachary and Rachel, died early Friday in a home fire on University Avenue. Funeral for all 3 set for tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. at St. Augustine's Catholic Church in Des Moines. A trust fund has been set up to help the Dolan family pay funeral expenses, and donations can be sent to any Brenton bank in the Des Moines area.
A major reversal tonight by Iowa State University. ISU says it wants to keep WOI television. University President Martin Jischke says if the Board of Regents agrees, the sale is off. TV8's Michelle Parker was in Ames and has more.
Iowa State University President Martin Jischke says he hopes the recommendation not to sell WOI-TV will end uncertainty about the fate of the station.
It is my hope that the question of ownership of the station has now been decided and we can now go forward.
Jischke is asking the Iowa Board of Regents to reject all offers made during the second round of bidding. He says a financial analysis shows the bids are inadequate.
My position all along has been if the price was high enough and the university could obtain adequate income, one could make a case for sale. I believe the economics of the offers we have received suggest that that's not the case.
Citadel Communications of New York was the top bidder at $14 million and was disappointed at today's change of heart.
Enormous time and energy and resources were committed by our company in the pursuit of the station, but we'll move on.
In addition to asking the Regents to reject the WOI bids, Jischke also is recommending an ad hoc advisory committee be appointed to develop a strategic plan for the station. Journalism professor Tom Beal says he's pleased about the recommendation not to sell the station, but he still has some concerns.
The pressure will continue to be on the station to make money, which is all right, except that if that becomes the be-all and end-all, the primary objective, then the educational responsibilities will be shortchanged.
The Iowa Board of Regents will take up the issue of WOI-TV at its meeting next week. Michelle Parker, TV8 News.
By the way, officials at the university say the school spent $150,000 during its efforts to try and sell the station.
Tonight at 10 on the TV8 News, Steve Oswald continues his reports, the Des Moines Register, love it or hate it. Steve joining us now live from the Register newsroom. And Steve, what's going on?
Well, Paul, Des Moines Register reporters are busily working on the first edition of tomorrow morning's newspaper. They're about 2 hours away from their first deadline. At TV8, we're about 4 hours away from the second part of our series on the Des Moines Register.
Tonight, Register reporter David Yepsen. David Yepsen covers politics, and as you might guess, he's a lightning rod for criticism.
David, you're out in left field on this one. The reporting could be a little more accurate, a little bit less opinionated.
It's a natural adversarial relationship, but that doesn't mean you can't have respect for one another. And I'm not paid to be liked by politicians, but we have a job to do.
It's like you do have an agenda down underneath. And
also, the Register forms a citizens advisory panel to help it become a better listener. We'll take you inside.
Please, no more in depth on gays, lesbians, so on. You told me more than I care to know.
Part 2 of the Des Moines Register, love it or hate it, tonight at 10 on the TV8 News. Paul?
Thank you, Steve.
Coming up next on the TV8 News Live at 6, will he or won't he? Sarah Jarvis tells us about the governor's hints of a special legislative session next.
And I'm Sue Mason. Job News is coming up tonight. We have several nursing positions available. We'll tell you all about them when the TV8 News continues.
Hi, my name's Mike Spurl. I used to have cancer. A few years ago, I was on TV for Iowa Methodist Medical Center.
They smiled when things went well. They shared tears with us when things didn't go well.
This time, I'd like to say thanks to the people at Iowa Methodist and to remind everybody that I'm still here, better than ever. And so is the Cancer Center at Iowa Methodist.
The new John Stoddard Cancer Center at Iowa Methodist. We're in this fight together.
I woke up this morning. I woke up this morning. Woke up this morning with the Monday morning blues. Woke up this morning. Woke up this morning with the Monday morning blues.
My air conditioner, it's out there purring like a kitten. Thing's solid as a rock. Never think about it.
The best time to think about your air conditioning is now, so call your Carrier dealer today. We're the guys who know best when it comes to making it better inside.
For details on a $200 Carrier rebate for qualifying air conditioners and heat pumps,
plus additional rebates. Call Capon and Brown, Marshalltown, or Kuning Plumbing and Heating, Pella.
America's best-selling luxury automobile doesn't come from Europe or Japan. It's the Cadillac DeVille. Continuous improvement has made the DeVille more powerful, more comfortable, and now more affordable, with a $1,500 cash bonus direct from Cadillac. Or if you prefer, special smart lease terms are also available. The Cadillac DeVille.
Tonight's TV8 News, live at 6, is being simulcast on KDLS Radio in Perry, 1310 on your AM dial.
Nursing positions available in tonight's job news. TV8's Sue Mason joins us with details on tonight's opening. Sue?
Well, Kevin, if you're looking for a job in nursing, we have several positions available in central Iowa. We're trying to match those of you looking for jobs with job openings in the area. Job Service will screen your applications and you'll be referred to the business or to job retraining. Just call the number on your screen, 247-8808. Joining us now is Karen Stewart from 5 Star Care Corporation. Thanks for being with us, Karen.
Thank you, Sue.
Okay, our first job tonight, certified nursing assistants.
Right. We have certified nursing assistant positions available to provide routine daily nursing care to our residents, all shifts, all locations, part-time and full-time, excellent salary based on experience.
Okay, our second job tonight, we have registered nurses.